We found out the Ark of the Covenant was, in fact, a real object, and we know where.
For centuries, historians searched deserts, caves, and buried ruins. But when Grok AI ran the data, every clue converged on one forbidden site that monks refused to let outsiders enter.
Through remote viewing in an underground Middle Eastern chamber.
For decades, claims about the Ark of the Covenant hiding in Ethiopia have been dismissed as folklore. But when Grok AI processed ancient Hebrew accounts, Ethiopian church archives, and modern satellite data, the patterns it uncovered pointed to a single location with uncanny precision. The findings drew scientists toward Axum's Chapel of the Tablet, a site long protected by a single guardian monk. And what the AI highlighted inside that region has reopened one of history's most enduring mysteries. Follow along as we break down what Grok AI found, and why experts are suddenly paying attention. The power of AI questions. Let's talk about something fascinating that's been happening lately. Grok AI, the advanced chatbot created by Elon Musk's company xAI, has become incredibly popular for answering complex historical and religious questions. What makes Grok different from other AI tools is its ability to search through real-time information from across the internet and social media platforms, giving users surprisingly detailed answers to age-old mysteries. People have been asking Grok everything from simple trivia to profound historical puzzles. One question keeps coming up again and again. Where is the Ark of the Covenant? When Grok processes this question, it doesn't just give vague theories. Instead, it consistently points to one specific location that has researchers, archaeologists, and religious scholars paying attention. That location is Axum, Ethiopia. Now, before we go further, let's be clear about something important. Grok AI didn't discover anything new. What it does is compile existing research, historical records, and centuries-old traditions into digestible answers. But what makes this interesting is how this ancient Ethiopian claim has gained renewed attention in our digital age. The AI's responses have sparked fresh conversations about a mystery that has puzzled humanity for over 2,000 years. What is the Ark of the Covenant? Before we explore the Ethiopian connection, we need to understand what makes the Ark of the Covenant so incredibly important. According to the Bible, specifically the book of Exodus, God instructed Moses to build this sacred chest, while the Israelites wandered in the desert after escaping Egypt. This wasn't just any wooden box. The Ark was crafted from acacia wood and covered entirely in pure gold, both inside and out. It measured approximately 4 feet long, 2.5 feet wide, and 2.5 feet high. On top sat 2 golden cherubim with outstretched wings, creating what was called the mercy seat. This was believed to be the exact spot where God's presence would dwell among His people. Inside the Ark were 3 sacred items: the stone tablets containing the 10 Commandments that God gave to Moses on Mount Sinai, Aaron's rod that miraculously budded to confirm his priesthood, and a golden pot filled with manna, the heavenly bread that sustained the Israelites during their 40 years in the wilderness. The Ark represented the covenant between God and the people of Israel, making it the most holy object in their entire religion. Only specially appointed priests could carry it using poles inserted through golden rings, and anyone who touched it directly was said to face divine consequences. The Ark was so powerful that biblical accounts describe it parting the Jordan River and causing the walls of Jericho to collapse. The disappearance that baffled historians. Here's where the mystery begins. The Ark of the Covenant was placed in the Holy of Holies, the innermost chamber of Solomon's Temple in Jerusalem, around 950 BCE. For centuries, it remained the spiritual heart of the Jewish faith. The high priest would enter this sacred chamber only once per year on the Day of Atonement to offer prayers and sacrifices. Then something strange happened. the Ark simply vanishes from historical records. The last definite biblical mention appears in 2 Chronicles 35:3 during the reign of King Josiah around 640 BCE. After that, complete silence. When the Babylonians destroyed Solomon's temple in 586 BCE, there is no mention of the Ark being captured, destroyed, or taken as plunder. This absence is stunning because the Babylonians kept detailed records of everything they seized from Jerusalem. When the Second Temple was built after the Jews returned from Babylonian exile, historical sources confirm the Holy of Holies remained empty, no Ark. Jewish tradition suggests several possibilities. Some believe King Josiah hid it in a secret chamber beneath the Temple Mount to protect it from invaders. Others think the prophet Jeremiah concealed it in a cave on Mount Nebo. Some theories propose it was taken to Egypt, hidden in Rome by the Knights Templar, or even destroyed completely. But one tradition stands out for its remarkable persistence and detail: the Ethiopian claim. The Ethiopian legend of Menelik. The Ethiopian Orthodox Church has maintained for centuries that the Ark resides in their country. Their claim is based on an ancient text called the Kebra Nagast, which means glory of the kings. This epic narrative tells an extraordinary story that begins with one of the Bible's most famous encounters. According to the Kebra Nagast, the Queen of Sheba, who visited King Solomon in Jerusalem around 950 BCE, was actually from Ethiopia. The biblical account in 1 Kings 10 describes how she traveled a great distance to test Solomon's wisdom with difficult questions. The Ethiopian version adds romantic details not found in the Bible. Solomon and the Queen of Sheba had a relationship, and she gave birth to a son named Menelik after returning to Ethiopia. When Menelik reached adulthood, around 20 years old, he journeyed to Jerusalem to meet his father. Solomon recognized him through a ring the queen had given Menelik as proof of his identity. The young prince studied with Solomon and the priests of the temple, learning about the Israelite religion and law. But here's where the story takes its most controversial turn. The Kebra Nagast claims that Menelik, with the help of sympathetic priests, secretly took the Ark from the temple and transported it to Ethiopia. According to the legend, they replaced it with a replica so perfect that no one immediately noticed the switch. The text portrays this not as theft, but as divine will, suggesting God wanted the Ark moved to protect it from future destruction and to establish Ethiopia as a new Zion. The Church of Mary of Zion. Today, the Church of Our Lady Mary of Zion stands in the ancient city of Axum in northern Ethiopia. This isn't just any church. It's considered the most sacred site in Ethiopian Orthodox Christianity, a place of pilgrimage that draws thousands of faithful believers every year. The original church was reportedly built during the 4th century CE by Emperor Ezana, who made Christianity the official religion of the Kingdom of Axum. The church has been destroyed and rebuilt multiple times throughout history. The current main structure dates to the 17th century, but beside it stands another building that captures global attention, the Chapel of the Tablet. This modest structure was built during the reign of Emperor Haile Selassie in the 20th century, specifically designed to house what Ethiopians believe is the authentic Ark of the Covenant. The chapel is surprisingly small and simple from the outside. There are no elaborate decorations, no towering architecture, no golden domes. But what it lacks in grandeur, it makes up for in significance. According to tradition, the Ark had to be moved from the main church to this separate chapel, because the divine energy radiating from the tablets inside had literally cracked the stones of its original sanctuary. Ethiopian Christians believe the sacred heat from God's laws was too powerful to be contained in ordinary walls. Every Ethiopian Orthodox church contains a replica of the Ark, called a tabat. These replicas are considered so holy that they are kept covered and only brought out during special religious festivals. But the Axum Church claims to possess the original, making it the spiritual center of Ethiopian Christianity. The guardian monk who cannot leave. This is where the story becomes even more intriguing. The Ark in Axum is guarded by a single monk who is appointed for life. Once chosen, this guardian can never leave the grounds of the chapel. He cannot visit family, walk through the city, or experience life outside those walls. His entire existence becomes devoted to protecting and praying before the Ark. The current guardian, whose name is rarely publicized to protect his privacy, follows in a line of guardians stretching back centuries. Each guardian personally selects his successor before death. If a guardian dies unexpectedly, without naming a replacement, the monastery's monks hold an election. But once appointed, the new guardian's life changes forever. He enters the chapel and remains there until his own death. What does this guardian do all day? According to tradition, he prays continuously before the Ark, offers incense multiple times daily, and maintains the sacred space. He's the only living person allowed to actually see the Ark with his own eyes. Not the Ethiopian Orthodox Patriarch, not the President of Ethiopia, not visiting religious leaders from around the world. Just this one man. When asked about his role, one guardian told researchers that he doesn't need physical evidence to confirm what he protects. He said he can feel the presence of something extraordinary, something that shines with tremendous spiritual power. Western journalists and historians have repeatedly requested to see or photograph the Ark. Every single request has been firmly denied. The Ethiopian Church maintains that the Ark is too holy for casual viewing, and that preserving this ancient secret is their sacred responsibility. The scholarly debate. So what do actual historians and archaeologists think about Ethiopia's claim? This is where things get complicated. The scholarly community remains deeply divided, with most experts expressing serious skepticism while acknowledging some intriguing historical connections. The biggest problem is a complete lack of verifiable evidence. No independent researcher has been allowed to examine the object in the chapel. No photographs exist. No scientific dating has been performed. No DNA testing, no material analysis, no archaeological verification of any kind. For scientists and historians, this makes it impossible to confirm or deny the claim using standard academic methods. Several experts have raised significant questions about the timeline. The Kebra Nagast, which forms the foundation of Ethiopia's claim, was compiled during the late Middle Ages, around 1300 to 1400 CE. That's more than 2,000 years after Solomon's era. Historical records from earlier periods, including extensive Ethiopian Christian writings from the 4th through the 13th centuries, contain no mention of the Ark being in Ethiopia. This silence strikes many scholars as suspicious. Dr. Edward Ollendorf, a renowned scholar of Ethiopian studies who served as a professor at the University of London, made headlines in 1992 when he revealed that he had actually seen the object in the Axum Church back in 1941. He was serving as a British Army officer in Ethiopia during World War II when he was granted access. His assessment was blunt and disappointing to believers. He described what he saw as a middle to late medieval construction made when such replicas were commonly fabricated. In other words, he believed it was a medieval replica, not an ancient biblical artifact. Evidence that makes scholars pause. Despite the skepticism, some elements of the Ethiopian story make researchers pause and think carefully. Ethiopia does have genuine documented connections to the ancient biblical world that are historically verified. First, there's strong evidence of ancient Jewish communities in Ethiopia, dating back thousands of years. The Beta Israel, also known as Ethiopian Jews, maintained Jewish traditions in isolation for centuries. Their presence suggests real historical connections between Ethiopia and ancient Israel, even if the specific Ark story cannot be confirmed. Second, Christianity arrived in Ethiopia remarkably early. The kingdom of Axum officially converted to Christianity in the 4th century CE, making it one of the oldest Christian nations on earth. This happened long before most of Europe became Christian. The Ethiopian Orthodox Church has maintained continuous Christian worship for over 1,600 years, preserving ancient traditions that disappeared elsewhere. Third, the architectural design of Ethiopian churches is genuinely unusual and intriguing. Every Ethiopian Orthodox church follows a specific tripartite structure based on the layout of Solomon's Temple in Jerusalem: an outer area for general worshippers, a middle section for communion, and an innermost Holy of Holies, where only priests can enter and where the Tabat replica is kept. This consistent architectural pattern across thousands of churches demonstrates deep, long-standing connections to Jerusalem temple traditions. Additionally, archaeological evidence confirms that Axum was a powerful, sophisticated kingdom with extensive trade networks, connecting it to the Mediterranean world, Arabia, and even India during the 1st millennium CE. The city has massive stone obelisks, royal tombs, and ancient inscriptions proving its historical significance. If any African location could plausibly have received a sacred object from Jerusalem, Axum had the connections and resources to make it possible. Alternative theories about the Ark's location. While Ethiopia's claim is one of the most famous, it's certainly not the only theory about where the Ark might be. Let's explore some other fascinating possibilities that researchers have proposed. The most popular academic theory suggests the Ark never left Jerusalem at all. Many Jewish scholars believe King Josiah hid it in a secret chamber carved deep within the bedrock beneath the Temple Mount before the Babylonian invasion. The Temple Mount is a complex site with numerous tunnels, chambers, and underground spaces. Orthodox Jewish groups preparing for a future Third Temple are convinced the Ark remains hidden there, waiting to be rediscovered. However, excavating beneath the Temple Mount is virtually impossible due to religious and political sensitivities. The site is sacred to Jews, Christians, and Muslims, making archaeological work extremely controversial. Another theory involves Mount Nebo in modern-day Jordan. The apocryphal text 2 Maccabees describes the prophet Jeremiah hiding the Ark in a cave on this mountain to protect it from Babylonian forces. Archaeologists have searched the area multiple times, but found nothing conclusive. Some believe that if the Ark is hidden there, it's concealed so cleverly that modern methods cannot detect it. A more speculative theory proposes that the Knights Templar discovered the Ark during the Crusades and smuggled it to Europe, possibly to Rome or even to France. This idea has been popularized in novels and movies, but has virtually no supporting historical evidence. The Vatican has repeatedly stated it does not possess the Ark, and no credible documentation exists to support the Templar connection. Recent archaeological work at Shiloh in the West Bank has uncovered what researchers believe might be the foundation of the original tabernacle, the portable sanctuary that housed the Ark before Solomon's Temple was built. While this discovery is exciting, it doesn't reveal anything about the Ark's ultimate fate. The role of faith versus evidence. This story raises profound questions about the relationship between religious faith and scientific evidence. For approximately 45 million Ethiopian Orthodox Christians, the presence of the Ark in Axum is an absolute certainty that requires no physical proof. Their faith doesn't depend on scientific verification or skeptical approval. When Western journalists and researchers demand evidence, they often miss a crucial cultural perspective. Ethiopian believers ask a counter question. Why should the most sacred object in their religious tradition be subjected to the scrutiny of outsiders who may not respect its holiness? From their viewpoint, demanding proof shows a lack of spiritual understanding. The sacred should remain sacred, protected from profane examination. This creates an impossible standoff. Scientists and historians say they cannot confirm the claim without evidence. Ethiopian religious authorities say the claim doesn't need confirmation because it's a matter of faith. Both sides have valid points from their own perspectives. There's also a historical context worth considering. Medieval churches throughout Europe claimed to possess miraculous relics to attract pilgrims and boost their prestige and wealth. Pieces of the true cross, vials of saints' blood, and countless other sacred objects were displayed, many of which were later proven to be fakes. Ethiopian authorities are aware of this history and may be protective precisely because they don't want their sacred tradition compared to discredited European relic claims. The Ethiopian Church has maintained this tradition for centuries without seeking external validation or attempting to profit from it through tourism. They don't charge admission to see the Ark because no one can see it except the Guardian. This consistency and lack of exploitation actually lend their claim a certain credibility that sensationalized relic displays lack. The annual festival of Timkat. Every January, Ethiopia celebrates Timkat, the festival commemorating Jesus' baptism in the Jordan River. This celebration offers a glimpse into how deeply the Ark tradition is woven into Ethiopian religious life. During Timkat, every Ethiopian church brings out its tablet replica in an elaborate procession. The tablets are wrapped in ornate cloths and carried on the heads of priests dressed in colorful ceremonial robes. Thousands of pilgrims follow these processions through the streets, singing, chanting, and praying. The faithful believe that carrying these replicas connects them spiritually to the original Ark in Axum, creating a nationwide network of sacred presence. In Axum itself, Timkat draws massive crowds. Although the actual Ark never leaves its chapel, the festival creates an atmosphere of intense devotion and celebration. Pilgrims who have saved for years to make this journey gather in the ancient city, united by their shared belief in the sacred object hidden nearby. The celebration includes all-night vigils, ritual blessings with holy water, and passionate declarations of faith. These festivals reveal something important about the Ethiopian claim. This isn't a recent invention or a tourist attraction. It's a living religious tradition practiced by millions of people for whom the Ark's presence is as real and meaningful as any physical object could be. Whether or not the Axum object is the biblical Ark, its spiritual significance to Ethiopian Christianity is undeniable and powerful. After examining this mystery from historical, cultural, and technological perspectives, there is still no confirmed answer about the Ark of the Covenant's location, though Ethiopia's claim remains neither verified nor disproven, with the guardian monk in Axum continuing his isolated duty over what millions consider sacred. Scientists remain cautious due to the lack of access, while global interest persists as AI tools help organize and interpret centuries of material. For now, the question remains open, with the possibility that future discoveries may offer clearer insight into this long-standing puzzle. What do you think? Could the Ark truly be in Ethiopia under a lifelong guardian, or is it simply a long-held tradition? Share your thoughts in the comments and subscribe for more explorations of ancient mysteries.